Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjalasalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jena Tasmai Shikurave Namah Bandeham Shiguruvaram Shirupanuga Pravaram Brajarasa Rasikam Chanarayanam Tam Prapanam Shri Guru Charanam Bande Ramana Prestaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhaktiram Chakri Pamurti Narayanam Namashristam Manumapi Sachiputra Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajanurupuri Madhurim Kostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasyam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinavando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriyan Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Taradaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Anarpita Charinchirat Karune Vatina Kalau Samarpajitum Unatochvalarasam Sobhaktusham Hari Purata Sundari Yutikaram Vasanipita Satakritaya Kantares Puratu Basa Chinandanaha Manchakanpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyagacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. First of all, I would like to offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my divine spiritual master, Nitya Lila Pravistum Vishupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtutara Shatra Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Guru Maharaj, and I pray for his causeless mercy. I would also like to offer my humble obeisances millions of times to the lotus feet of all my Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, to all my spiritual guardians, to all the Vaishnavas from the past, from the present, and the future, and I pray for their mercy. I would like to offer obeisances to all the devotees of the Lord, all the friends. Hare Krishna. So today is the most auspicious day. Today is the disappearance day of Param Pujyapad Bhakti Bharati Goswami Maharaj. So today I would like to, for my own purification, I would like to speak something of my memories with him. Param Pujyapad Bhakti Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he used to have his mat in Mayapur. At the beginning of, when one would get off the boat, at the very beginning of the walking distance would be the mat of Parama Pujyapad Bhakti Bharati Goswami Maharaj and his Gurudev Parama Pujyapad Bhakti Daitamala Goswami Maharaj and Parama Pujyapad Bhakti Balavartita Goswami Maharaj. So every year, Srila Gurudev would take us there for parikrama. We would go there and we would stop. Parikrama would enter there and we would do kirtan, and they would come and sit with Gurudev. And he used to always sit in a bench at the back. There's a bench. And he would love to see. He said that he loved to sit there and see all the devotees coming and just shower them with mercy and bhakti. Really, this is his power. He was so powerful. He never accepted disciples until the very end of his life. So, when my Srila Gurudev left this world in 2010, December, the next year I prayed so much for Gurudev, like, where can I go? Where can I go? Please help me. Give me shelter. Who can give me shelter? And immediately, by his mercy, Srila Gurudev inspired me to go to this place, Chandigarh, this Panchkuli. There was going to be a big assembly there of Harikatha. And I saw the picture of Parama Pujyapad Bhakti Balavartita Goswami Maharaj. So I thought I was going to go see him. This is the person that I actually thought that I was going to go and see. But then I was a little bit late. There was 7 days of Harikatha, but actually I couldn't go until the end. I called and I said I was going to go there. So they said, oh yes, we will pick you up, when are you coming, this and that. The disciples of that mat, they have so much etiquette. It's unbelievable the way that they actually take care of the guests. It's like unbelievable. So when I arrived there, it was 5 days had already gone in the Harikatha. And it was a very big temple, Gurava, like Sikh, very big temple in Panchkuli, in Chandigarh, India. So what I saw was that when I arrived on the 5th day, they welcomed me, they received me, they picked me up, and they said, Mahārājā has been asking for you. And I said, how could he ask for me? I don't even know him. He doesn't even know me. And they said that they had told him that a Western devotee was going to arrive. So he was asking every day, has she arrived? Is she going to come? Like this. Very strange. So when I finally sat in the assembly, at the very wall of the right side, and even like minutes before Mahārājā arrived, there was so much bhav present in the hearts of everyone. Just before even he was arriving, just before even entering the place. This is how powerful he was. That he was given the mood of Radhika in everyone's heart just before he even arrived. So once he finally came in, he came and he sat in the stage. And then they told him, they said, like, there she is. And then he looked at me and I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, why would he look at me? I'm nobody. I have nothing. I don't even really know him. But this is how their etiquette in this temple was, that they were receiving the guests with so much honor and respect. It's amazing. I was so surprised. And he was speaking Harikatha. I missed the 5 first days, but the last 2 days he was speaking about the different rasas that exist. So he was explaining about Jashoda Ma, Vatsalya ras. How this rasa, when Uddhav came to visit Vrindavan, then Jashoda Ma, she had stopped cooking. All the pots were upside down because nobody was cooking. She was not cooking. So much separation from Krishna. She says, why am I going to cook if Krishna's not here? She was used to cooking to all the friends of Krishna. But now, what's the point if Krishna's not here? But this time she made some kheer. She cooked kheer for Uddhav. So this is how wonderful the katha that he was speaking. Very nice. Then after this, I was thinking, what is this beautiful Harikatha? How beautiful this Harikatha is. So then he left, and I heard Harikatha 2 days. The arrangements in that temple is unbelievable. They actually host you like, where do you want to stay? Do you want to stay in this house? Do you want to stay in this ashram? We'll take you, we'll drive you here and there. It's so amazing. Really, the real etiquette of a Vaishnava. Sometimes I traveled, for example, recently to some place, and there's nobody even offers you to stay in their house. Like, you have to look, where can I get a hotel? Where can I get an Airbnb? Because people don't host devotees. Whereas in this Gaudiya Math, anybody who would come for the assembly or the program was hosted. Not only was hosted, was fed. Please come and take prasadam 3 times a day, here and there. It's amazing. In the ashram, this devotee, he took me to the ashram and he paid everything. This is all paid for, he said. This is the mat of Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj. This is really the example of Vaishnav Seva. Anybody who would come to the program was taken care of. They were hosted and they were fed. Not like, how am I going? And they were picked up from wherever they came. I was picked up by car. And then when I was ready to leave in Panchkuli, Chandigarh, at this time, Bhakti, Param Pujyapad, Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he didn't even have one follower. There was nobody following him. I didn't see Madhava Priya. The only person was Sri Narottam Prabhu. He's his sevaka. He was always there with him. So in this way, we went out. I was ready to leave. I was going to leave the ashram at that moment. I was ready to leave the ashram. And at that moment knocked on the door. At that moment, knocked on the door. This, I can't remember his name, but he was the one that hosted me and was driving me here and there. And he said, I said, I'm going to Vrindavan now, back to Vrindavan. And he said, well, you know, Maharaj is going to the next place. He's going to Bhatinda. Bhatinda, there's a temple there. So if you want, I can take you. I can drive you there. And I said, really? He said, yes, you come. I'll take you. And I was like, okay, let's go. So then I got in the car. We went. We stopped on the midway. We had some lassi. We drank some lassi. We continued the journey. Maybe it was like 1 hour, maybe 2. I can't remember. And when we arrived there, the moment we arrived in the car, Mahārājā arrived in the car at that moment. And I fell at his feet and gave pranams. And so it was very beautiful in Bhatinda, this temple. I was completely alone with him. There weren't any followers there. There were the only sannyasi was Damodar Maharaj. Srimad, Bhakti, I think his name is Kinkar, Damodar Maharaj. He was there, and Narottam Prabhu. And one very young sevaka also, one boy, like 20 years old. So then at this place, what I observed of the etiquette of this temple, I think it's called Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, the name. So what I observed of Mangalarti, when any person will come to the temple, everybody would bow down to this person and give pranams. When a new person came in, everybody, every day, and every single person that would come from Mangalarti, everybody was giving pranams. They were all giving amongst each other pranams. But nowadays, nobody gives pranams. Nobody. Like, you give pranams to Guru, you give pranams to Thakurji, you give pranams to like very high Vaishnava, but amongst the devotees, I don't see this going on, this like giving pranams amongst people daily. So in this Gaudiya Math, whenever anybody came, everybody was giving pranams. Haribol Prabhu, Haribol Didi, Haribol Prabhu, Haribol. Dandava pranams, like this. Every single person that came to Mangalarti was given pranams. Very beautiful. So in this temple, they have a room of Bhakti Madhava Goswami Maharaj. And they were all these pictures, very beautiful pictures. And I think the bed even, or the Vyasasthan, or the, like this. It's a special room for Bhakti Madhava Goswami. And a special room where actually Param Pujyapad Bhakti Balavatita Goswami Maharaj, his room, his actual room. So in this Bhatinda temple, which is very beautiful because it's a very tiny temple with the towers, like the Gaudiya Math towers, very nice, in Bhatinda in Punjab. So there I stayed for a week, and Damodar Maharaj said, he said, do you want to go and talk to him? I said, I can go and talk to him. He said, of course, you could go in and talk to him. I can go in his room, yeah? So every day I was going into his room, and he was speaking to me. 1 hour. I was alone. There wasn't any person. He didn't have any followers at all. I remember, like, the first time I entered, it was very, very hot outside. So when I came in, he said, are you feeling hot? And he said, and I said, a little bit. And then he said, Krishna Bhakti Ras. He said, when you have Krishna Bhakti Ras, you're never hot, never cold. Like this. Very nice. The first thing he said when I entered his room. Then we were talking, and then I said, you know, my Gurudev left. So I started crying and crying. I said, my Gurudev left. And you know, I was weeping and weeping. And then he said, only a person that has relationship can actually cry from the separation of his beloved. So then he was saying, and I was telling him, you know, So what am I going to do? My Gurudev left, and then he said, Guru is Nitya and Seva is Nitya. So if you meditate and do Seva to Guru, he will immediately know and you will connect with him, because Guru is Nitya, eternal, and Seva is Nitya, is eternal. So this is a very beautiful instruction that he gave to follow. And then I said, my Srila Gurudev, he told me so many times, preach my mission around the world, preach my mission around the world, preach my mission. And he gave me malas. So he told me you should distribute all over the world Harinam. This is my Gurudev's order. So I was telling him. So then he said to me, oh, yes, but you will not be successful. And I said, but Maharaj, this is the order of my Gurudev, and I just want to please him. And he said, oh, but he is already pleased. And then he said this to me. He said, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Param Pujyapad, Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he told me, he said, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. I said, yes, of course. He said, when he went, he was trying to preach so much, but he was never successful. He was preaching and always failed. And he tried to make a magazine, and he didn't even have one subscriber. It did not work. And he said, because in India, if you are married, people don't take seriously sadhus. But then he said, but when he went to West, completely surrendered to Krishna. Oh, at this time, Krishna completely empowered him. And he preached all over the world so successfully. So he was like telling me, unless you completely surrender to Krishna and are not dependent in other things, the mission, your preaching will not be successful. This is what he told me. But it's very funny because at the end, after like 5 years after, before leaving this world, he attracted me to go to Chandigarh. And at that moment, like this is the last months before leaving this world, he would tell me, he said, have you been preaching? And I said, no. And he said, why not? You're so qualified, you should preach. And I'm thinking, like, he was giving blessing at the end. And he was so powerful. He had this mystic power that particular time, he asked me again. This was in his room. But before, outside, he asked me, have you been preaching? And I said, well, not so much. And by his mystic power, immediately he inspired devotees to come and ask me, please come to my country. And they would give me the money for the ticket. Come to Hong Kong. Come to Canada. Of course, I didn't go to Hong Kong, but he arranged these things. He arranged this by his mystic power. So after I met him in Panchkuli, Chandigarh, then we went to Bathinda. Then we were in the train station. We were ready to leave. I was going back to Vrindavan, and he was going back to Puri. But I couldn't leave him. And I remember in Bathinda, he had so much power, so much Shakti. I said, Maharaj, I don't know how to be humble. My Gurudev told me many times you should be humble, but I don't even understand the meaning of this. And Maharaj would say, he said, oh, but humble is so easy. When you're in the association of Vaishnavas, this is so easy. Then another time I asked him also about how can it be humble, Maharaj? And then he said, it's every day practicing, a little bit, every day practicing. And then he gave me the example of stone. When the drop of water falls every day, then it becomes a mark, a hole. So in the same way, if every day practicing, then you have like a samskar and you have to practice every day to be humble, he was telling. And then he said, Rome was not made in a day. He told me like this. So in Bathinda, he was so powerful. The Vaishnavas, the power of Vaishnavas, that they have this seva briti, They give you the tendency to serve. And me, by nature, I'm very lazy. I don't like to clean. If I have to clean, I'm like, oh my God, I have to clean now. I don't even know how to sweep this and that. But when you're in the association of these Vaishnavas, because they're connected with Swarup Shakti, with Srimati Radhika, they're actually connected with the power of Radha and Krishna, especially the Shakti of Radharani, Swarup Shakti. So they give this tendency to serve, which is so powerful. I remember I was like lifting up this super heavy rugs in this Bhatinda temple. They're plastic, and I would roll them and pick them in the middle of the class. Everybody was staring like, who is this like super woman carrying the very heavy rugs by myself and showering everything and with buckets cleaning the whole thing, and the drains, everything. I was so much energy. This is the energy. This is really. We think Manjari Ba, but imagine the power the Vaishnava has, that they can give you this energy to do all these services. Sometimes people live in temples and they have no motivation, they have no inspiration, they cannot get up, they don't want to hear Harikatha, this and that. But when you live in, when you are actually in the association of Vaishnavas which are Siddha, which are perfected, they give Shakti energy. They give energy, spiritual energy, physical energy. That you can actually clean, you can wash, you can do everything. So much strength that otherwise you cannot do. You cannot do without them. So he was, and then I was remembering what he was telling me. He was actually telling me, oh, but it's so easy to be humble in the association of Vaishnavas. So in the association of Vaishnavas, then it's true. I was lifting up everything, cleaning, so wonderful. This is 1 week of wonderful association with Bharati Maharaj. And at the end, every day I would enter his room, he would speak Harikatha, something he would speak. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Then when I was in the train station, I was ready to leave. They gave me a ticket to go with some sannyasis, which I don't really know who they were. I can't remember who they were, in another compartment. But I was sitting at his feet and I'm like, I can't leave you. I can't leave you. I couldn't separate from him. Because, you know, this is the power of Mahabhagavat. Mahabhagavats have so much prema in their heart that it's like a magnet. It attracts the souls. So I couldn't leave. I was sitting at his feet and I couldn't leave. And so then Damodar Maharaj said, well, actually, we have an extra ticket here. You can come with us. So I actually traveled from Chandigarh to Mathura by train in the same compartment as Maharaj. He was on the lower, we were 4 beds. I was at the top and one very young boy, like 18 years old, in front. And down was Narottam, his sevaka, and Damodar Maharaj. And on the side booth was Maharaj. On the lower side booth was Srila Maharaj, Bhakti, Bharati, Goswami Maharaj. And then exactly at 3 in the morning, sharp, by his power, mystic power, he would wake me up. And I woke up at 3 in the morning. And then I looked down and he was sitting in his bed. He was sitting, and from his pocket he would take out his watch, his clock, with a little chain that was tied into his pocket with a safety pin. So he took out the watch, the clock, and he looked at the time, 3 in the morning. That's when I saw the time, 3 in the morning. And he put it back, and then he starts, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, chanting all morning. So this is very beautiful. I couldn't believe how merciful he was with me. Then we arrived in Mathura. Very beautiful. Oh my God. This temple in Mathura, I'm sorry, not Mathura, Delhi, in the temple of Delhi. We're going to Delhi. And this temple in Delhi, he was staying there in his room, but it's like he had no followers. No one was there. So then he was sitting and giving the class, and I'm like, why is this chair so dirty? Why don't they, like, why don't they honor him more? So then I went to the market, I bought some cloth, I washed it, I washed it. I thought, he's so pure that even I need to buy a new bucket for him because his cloth cannot be washed in any bucket. So I remember I washed his cloth, the cloth, hanged it, and made a beautiful chair clean with flowers, and then he sat and he could see, everything. He understood. Then when he was giving the class, then we got to the Ekadashi. It was the Ekadashi that it's Pandava Ekadashi. So he was saying that, that we should try to follow Nirjal Ekadashi. He actually said, that really Ekadashi means not taking water or not taking food. This is real Ekadashi. But actually, if you're going to do all that and you're going to be weak, that's not the point. That the point of Ekadashi means you increase and do kirtan all day if you can. Day and night, kirtan. Harikatha, only increasing more and more activities of Krishna. This is real Ekadashi. But anyhow, Vaishnavas, they speak by mind. By mind. They're like telepathic. This is the real Vaishnavas. And you will see that Vaishnavas always say that when people are very materially gross, then they cannot communicate with the subtleties of Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are very subtle, and just by mood, by bhav, they can give instructions to the person. And you understand and you follow. But when people are very grossly, materially, even if they speak, do this, 1 time, 2, 3, they will not do. So Vaishnavas communicate by mood. So we were in this temple and in Delhi Mat, and he was in the class. I remember he was like inspiring me. Sit in the front. He was my inspiration. Come. But I was feeling embarrassed. No, I can't. Because there are brahmacharis there and there's a sannyas. I cannot go and sit in the front. I was feeling, no, I can't. And then he said, Guru and Vaishnavas gave us instructions. But the only reason why we don't follow them is because of our false ego. So immediately he was like saying, because of your false ego, what people will think if I sit in the front, you're disrespecting my instruction. So this day, oh my God, it was so amazing, the Shakti that he gave for Harinam. Mahaprabhu has defined who is a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a person that just upon seeing that person, you cannot stop chanting Harinam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh. What is this? This is the definition of Vaishnava. And this is Maharaj. He was an Uttam Bhagavad. He was such high level. I've not seen after Gurudev. Really, this is even I remember when in Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math, whenever there was any assembly, whenever he would enter, Srila Gurudev would rise. He would like receive him, bring him, honor him so much. Gurudev, so aware of that he was being received and honored properly because he was of such high level of Vaishnavas. Wow, he was amazing. He was the most extraordinary Vaishnava I have ever met after my Srila Gurudev. So in this place, in the temple of Delhi, he gave so much mercy, so much Harinam. That day, the Ekadashi day. So then the next day, we were in his room. I was going every day to his room, I'm telling you. Nobody was there. Not one follower was there. So then what happened is that we were talking, and I brought one devotee he was there in Delhi, so I brought him to see him, and he says, oh, I never chant, I cannot chant, this and that. So he took out his mala, and he said, this mala is not good. Because you should have the little beads, and then it ends with the big beads. And the eight big beads, the first 8 are the 8 sakis. So then he asked him, how much did you chant? And he said, oh no, I don't chant anything. And then I said, oh, I chanted, and I was going to say how much I chanted yesterday. And he got very angry. He said, no, I don't. Like, you should never say how much you chant. Like if you chant a lakh or more, never. He was very young. He said, no, you cannot say. Don't say. Like this. And then he said, let me see your mala. And then he took out my mala and looked at it. And actually, one time I gave him my mala in Delhi, but this was like years after. He was sick, and then I said, please chant on my mala. So he chanted in all my mala, the one that Srila Gurudev gave me. So I was blessed that day. So then Srila Maharaj, then he was like telling me, about the tilak. And this is why today, which I never, because my Gurudev wants always that we wear cholis down to here, cover our arms completely. But Bharati Maharaj, because he inspired that we would always wear, that we should show the tilak. For me, he was inspiring me, show your tilak. So I didn't even use tilak there. We would only use it here and here, because in India, in Delhi, you're so in a hurry always. You get up running to Mangalarti, running to do this seva, running to do that seva, running to go buy the vegetables, running to buy the paneer, running to, do all the things you have to do all day. So there's no time to sit for 20 minutes and do the tilak. But Maharaj, he was inspiring me, you have to put tilak. Like I tell you, Vaishnavas don't need to talk. They say by inspiration. So then I was putting the tilak and bought even a t-shirt. So then when I put the tilak, he would look and he was like, no. And then the next day I came and he was like, no, I wasn't putting it right. So then after the third day, he was wearing his uttariya without the blouse underneath, so I could see his tilak. This is how merciful he was. So then I saw, oh, okay, it's like this. So at that moment, by mood, by bhav, he said, you should always wear tilak and Maya will never touch him. This is said by mood, by heart. But then when I went to visit him after in Calcutta, this is like 5 months after. First I went to Puri, then I went to Chandigarh, but then after that in Calcutta, this was like after Puri. I went there and I was in his room and he directly with words, he told me, he said, you should put tilak every day and then Maya can never touch him. And this time in Calcutta was very beautiful because I was alone again because he didn't have any followers at that time. Not even one. But he said, very interesting, because I was going to China and then he said, but China not very good food. What food did they eat in China? Not very good food. And I said, well, yes, they eat all kinds of animals, because in China that I preached so many places like, Nanning and Changsha and Jiangming, Hangzhou, Beijing, all these cities that I used to go and preach. It's true, sometimes the food is not good. But the devotees that food of the devotees is very good. But you see that the Chinese in general, they eat really bad food. So anyway, he was telling me, what food did they eat? Not good food. And then he said, and France not going? France not going? France? You should go to France. He didn't say you should go to France. He was saying, France not going? But I mean, why would he ask me so much about France? Maybe he's indirectly telling me, you should go to France, I think. I don't know. He didn't directly say go. But he said, France? Then he said something very beautiful. He would always give me like little points for Siddhanta and Tattva very, very beautifully. One was, for example, he said, Krishna, he is, and he gave me this because he knew that I was going to preach this everywhere in the world. He said, Krishna, when Brahma, he stole all the calves and all the cowboys and he hid them for 1 year. Brahma hid them, and Krishna, he manifested thousands of, millions of calves and millions of copas, and he became Vishnu. He became, when Brahma came down after 1 year and he said, where are the cowboys? Where are the calves? He went to look for them. And he saw those that he had hidden there, and he saw another set of cowherd boys and calves, but with Vishnu, he could see that they were all Vishnus. So Bhakti Pragyan Kesharai Goswami Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, he said, so you see, Krishna must be the original fountain of Vishnu. Otherwise, how can he manifest millions of Vishnus if he's not the original source of all Vishnus? So this is a very beautiful point when, practically all India says that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. But in this way, this is the way one can debate and say no. Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna, because from Krishna emanated millions of Vishnus. Therefore, he must be the original source of all incarnations. So this is a very beautiful thing. Then he told me about, one time he said, Radhika? He said, very beautiful. Okay, something else. Okay, he said, Radhika? He said, Krishna, all the gopis, they left all the husbands and mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, all their children, they left everything. Arya Patam, they gave up all dharma, they gave up everything. They left everyone to come and meet with Krishna. And Param Pujyapad, Bhakti Bharati Param Pujyapad Maharaj said, but Krishna left them all to go and search for Radhika. So he was glorified. So Radhika is superior to all. Then he said about Radha, he was telling me that Radha, the real name of God is not fully in the highest degree if it's not like Radha and Krishna together. They have to be together. Otherwise, it's not complete. And Krishna, like the name of Krishna, which means the all attractive, the one that attracts all the living entities, all the world, the universe, he attracts with his beauty and his sweetness. But that Krishna is not Krishna, the most beautiful form of God and the most attractive, if he's not with Radhika. So he told me that, very beautiful, that time in Calcutta. And also, I had just bought so many Punjabi suits from Puri. They have handloom, very beautiful handloom. So I got made 1, 2, 3, 4 Punjabi suits, orange and saffron, very beautiful color for traveling, with the pants and the shawl. So when I came there and I was wearing my beautiful suit, then Maharaj looked at me and, he knew that I wanted him to, I was showing like, look at my suits. And he said, oh, you have suits now. And I said, they call them suits. So then I said, yes, do you like Maharaj? And he said, well, for smartness, it is okay. Because in India, smart means like, you're looking like good, like smart, like dressed nicely, smart. So he said, for smartness is okay. But, he said, but Sakis only wear saris, he said. He told me, Sakis only wear saris. And I said, oh Maharaj, so then I should not wear this. And he said, at the time of chanting your mantras, he said, you should always wear sari. You should wear a dress. He told me like this. So today I wear the sari, because usually I wear Punjabi suit most of the time. So today I remembered and I put, at the time of mantras, he said, you should wear the. So anyway, this is very nice. Then I went to China. I was preaching the whole month. Then I came back to, I think, Russia first and China. Then when I came to meet him, actually, when I met him first in Puri, This was before or after? No, this was after. First I went to China and all this. Then I went to Chandigarh to meet Maharaj. So I went to Chandigarh, this temple that they have, very nice. And he was sitting there at the distance, and I came in. He was alone again. There wasn't not one Western, one follower, no one, and he had no disciples. So only Narottam was there with him, Narottam Prabhu. So when I came in with my suitcases with everything from China, I gave pranams to Maharaj, and I was very happy to see him. Then I gave him the donations, like the donations that I have received from China, I gave to him. So then he said, "Oh, no Chinese money?" Because I had changed it to rupees. But he was like, "Oh, no Chinese?" Because he wanted to feel exactly like what the Chinese directly gave. But he's very powerful, so anything you would give to him, he would immediately, transcendentally offer. Transcendentally, he would offer to Srimati Radhika. Immediately. Anything you give to him, immediately, in one instant, he would transform it and offer it to that transcendental realm. This is the glory of giving donations to the Mahabhagavats. Because when you give donations to impious people, then all their bad karma, everything immediately comes to your heart. When you give donations to people that are not that level, anyhow, some little bit comes to you, like reaction. But when you give to this type of personality, which are nirgun, which are beyond the modes of material nature, what happens? They immediately offer to Srimati Radhika, immediately, instantly, because they are always in that kunja, present, always. So they are immediately receiving this, transforming it, and giving it to Srimati Radhika, instantly. This is the power of the Mahabhagavats. So, and even, I gave, and then I had some other donation for another Vaishnava, but he was looking like, and I said, I can't keep it, I'll have to give it to him. So then I gave to him. Then I said, okay, this is for another Vaishnava, and I gave. And then he was like going to return, and I said, how am I going to take it back? So I said, no, it's okay, you can keep. Then I was very chastised in my mat when I came back, because I gave all the donations to Maharaj. And for days the Vaishnavas were chastising me. They were chastising me. Look, Kanti now, she's giving the donations to Maharaj. She's giving them. She's not giving to the temple. They were like chastising me. Sannyasis were coming and chastising me because I gave all the donations to him. But it was actually for the printing of the Chaitanya Charitamrita book that he was ready to. I don't know if it ever got printed or not, but supposedly it was for that. So anyway, there in Chandigarh, I spent 1 month with him. It was the most amazing time of my life. Well, always with Vaishnavas, it's amazing. So every day we would go in, like the observance of Kartik Mas is in that temple, is that you're absorbing Ashtakala Lila Smaram all day. So in the morning, you would sing like Mangalarti, before Mangalarti, then you will sing the song according to Govinda Lilamrita, what is happening at that time of the day. There's from Shikshastakam, the 8 verses represent the 8 yams or leelas of the day of Krishna. So the Shikshastakam is 8 verses. We're connected with the Ashtakala Leela, and there's also some kirtan, especially for that. So according to the day, they would sing. There's one brahmachari there, my God. He had so much mood. My God, whenever he would sing, like, oh, I remember even the song, Deva Bhavantam Bande. He wouldn't sing Krishna Deva. He would sing Deva Bhavantam Bande. Manamana Samadukara Marpaya Nijapada Pankajam Korande Deva Bhavantam. Such beautiful mood. And I'm like, why don't they say Krishna Deva? He said, because the way the Rupa Goswami wrote it is Deva Bhavantam Bande. And one should sing the songs the way that they're written, not adding. But anyhow, it's okay. We can sing Krishna Deva. But anyway, that's what he, told. So in this place, it was really beautiful because that whole month, we were like doing the songs according to the day. Ashtakala Lila, you just absorbed in Ashtakala Lila all day. This is the beautiful mood of Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, of this mat of Param Pujyapad Bhakti Daita Goswami Maharaj. That's the way they observe Kartik, and also every night he was speaking about Gajendra, this Leela from Bhagavatam. So, by his mystic power, because I don't have power to get up in the morning ever or anything, but by the mystic power of the Vaishnavas, I was up at 2:30, and at 3, I was sitting in the temple room, and then he would come exactly, and at 3 you could see there's a man, very old man, who walks like this, and he was sweeping the whole, it's a very big area, very, very broad area, very big halls, and he was sweeping the whole area himself, 3 in the morning. And then amazing Vaishnavas, you see them like very, very humble people, very, very simple, like nothing, but internally they're all absorbed in Lila, all absorbed in Lila. Now today everything's like showing I am, but when you see those type of Vaishnavas, my God, you're like, these are the real Vaishnavas that are completely hidden, that don't even show it, that are always, no need to brag anything, always hiding, because they have so much jewels in their heart, no need to show. So I would be there at 4 in the morning and prepare his chair and prepare his microphone and everything for Maharaj to come and sit, and I was there waiting, and then Maharaj would come at 4 in the morning and would recite stutis, stavas, stotras for approximately 30 minutes before Mangalarti, or 1 hour. I don't know what time was Mangalarti, 4:30 or 5. But he would be at 4 sharp. He was sitting there reciting so many beautiful verses. So then, one time, jokingly, he told me, "Oh, I was always, for many, many years, I've always been the first one to ever be there at 4 in the morning. But now you have beat me. Now you come before." He was joking with me, right? Because he was giving me the energy to get up and be there. So after that Mangalarti, then we went to walking to, every day we would go to different sectors, like sector 1, sector 2, sector 3, sector 4, sector 5, every day. And in Chandigarh, in Punjab, India, every day, in Kartik. He didn't even have one follower, no one, not even one Western was there. And we would walk in this neighborhoods, and he would go in the car, and we were doing Sankirtan, because the real meaning of Sankirtan is, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur explains that Kirtan is when we sing with instruments and all this. Or it can also be without instruments, when you vibrate your lips and chant the names of God. But Sankirtan is when there's the presence of the Mahabhagavat there in front of you as you're doing Kirtan. This is the meaning of Sankirtan. So we were doing this Sankirtan in sector 1 every day, going to different ones. And the moods were so grave. Oh my God, it was just, I'm like, what is this mercy? I prayed to Gurudev, and he sent me to him. I wasn't even thinking that it was him that I was going to see. I was actually thinking I would see Balavatrita Maharaj, because that was the person in the photo when I first went to meet him in Chandigarh, in Panchkuli. And it was him, And then after that, immediately I would always go see him in Mathura when I was in Delhi with him. Then I went to Mathura and he went to Puri. I was crying for days and days and days, crying. When am I going to see him again? When am I going to see him again? When am I going to see him again? Like so much separation. And the Vaishnavas were a little bit heavy with me, like, you're leaving Guru, you're going to him, this and that. I was feeling so confused because, you know, I was like a person in the mat that I was serving so much there. The devotee helping them, you know, they were helping me spiritually, but I was a little bit helping with a little bit of seva here and there. But they were like saying these things and I was so heartbroken. I'm like, but I want to be with Maharaj. So when I went, after those months, I went and found him in Puri. And I said, I will bring hundreds to you, I told, to Maharaj. And every day I was bringing 10 people, Russians, Americans, this, that. I was bringing so many people, Chinese, every day in Puri. People. And everybody would go crazy with him because he's giving bhakti to everyone. And his katha is extraordinary. So although I was living in Jai Shri Damodar Gauriya Math in front of the ocean in Eka Chakra, where Gurudev left this world and entered Nitya Lila in this temple, although I was living there, I would come every day to his temple to hear Harikatha every night. I think he would start at, I think it's 7 o'clock that he starts Harikatha. From 7 to 8, I think, or 8 to 9. It was 9. So every day I would hear Harikatha, every day. For like 1 month that he was there. Although I didn't understand because it was in Hindi and there weren't any translators. So then the very last day, and I was like cleaning and doing services in the temple, whatever he inspired me to do. So then the last day, some devotees came. I think it was Madhava Priya and Madhu Mangal Prabhu. They came and they were like carrying Maharaj, like walking with him to the room, like, you know, we're so close to him. And they entered the room with Maharaj and they kind of like closed the door, like I couldn't come in. But I was with him for like so much time in Chandigarh. Then I was in Puri. I was the only one that assisted his classes for 1 month. So then, and they were like not letting me enter. Then he came, then he said, come in, let her in. So I went inside. When I entered the room, then Maharaj was saying something in I don't know what language, Hindi or Bengali. He was saying it and I didn't understand what he was saying. And he said, he was pointing at me and he was saying it. So I was thinking, what is he saying? So then, you know, I asked him like, what is he saying? But they didn't tell me, those two devotees, Madhava Priya and Madhu Mangal Prabhu. Madhava Priya Prabhu, Madhu Mangal Prabhu. They wouldn't say. So then, they didn't say. So then Maharaj said, I said, what do you say? So then Maharaj said, I'm telling them that this lady is very intelligent. He said, because it is very hard to worship and serve Krishna, but it's very easy to serve the Vaishnavas. And if you serve the Vaishnavas, then they will give you the service to Krishna. So I'm telling them that this lady is very intelligent. And then he said, because she comes every day to hear the classes. And then he said, she is Bhakta. He told them. So then I felt like really embarrassed. I'm like, why is he saying this? But I think he was trying to make a point that nobody was coming to his classes for 1 month. And I was going every day, and I wasn't even understanding, but it's transcendental language. You know, Harikatha is the language of trance. Doesn't matter if you understand, it's a trance language. When the Mahabhagavat speak Harikatha, they're connecting you to that transcendental realm. And this is the real meaning of Harikatha. This is Harikatha, actually, Harikatha. So then, after that, when he left Chandigarh. Puri. He left, and I went back to my classes in my temple at 8 o'clock at night. You cannot imagine how much I was chastised. I was yelled, I was insulted, I am leaving the Guru, I am going to the... It's better to leave, it's better to serve the dogs of the Guru than to serve the elephants. When I heard this, I was like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, and I would walk away. I'm like, what is this? You know, this thing about this institutionalized mentality that broke my heart. Just Gurudev, not even 1 year had gone that Gurudev left this world, and I was already subjected to all this. So I was very sad in my heart, what to do, where to go, this and that. So anyway, I would always go in the association of Maharaj, and I remember, you know, I was completely my heart with Maharaj, really. He was helping me so much. So one time in Chandigarh, I told Maharaj in Chandigarh, I said, Maharaj, I said, because this time was going to come for a couple of days, Muni Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Muni Maharaj was going to arrive there. So I said, oh, you know, he sings very beautiful kirtan. He sang, for example, Gita Govinda. And he said, oh, no, this is not good. Like this very high thing should not be spoken. And I said, well, why then does Sukadeva Goswami say, Vikridi tam brajavadu viridam cha Vishnu sadam vitaha anushinayat tavay Bhakti Param Bhagavati pratilatam kamang hritrogam ashpachino achinanera dhira. I'm forgetting. So I said this verse. I said, why Sukadeva Goswami in Bhagavatam has said, a person which continuously listens to the Lila Katha of the Krishna with the gopis, the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, and continuously listens with faith and then repeats them to others, then Bhakti Param Bhagavati, the highest type of bhakti, will come in the heart first. And by this bhakti, all the disease of the heart, which is lust, immediately goes away. So why did Sukadeva Goswami gave this blessing? So why should we not follow this? So then he told me, because I told him, I only want Rasa Leela. I told him this, I only want Rasa Leela. And then he said, Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati. He told me this verse that says that a person, you cannot attain Krishna Bhakti Ras by accumulation of sukriti, of pious activities from millions of births. You cannot attain Krishna Bhakti Ras by this. The only way is by intense lolium, lobha, greed, hankering to attain. By this, you can attain Krishna Bhakti Ras. And anywhere you see that they have this Krishna Bhakti Ras is available, then you should at once go and try to purchase it. No matter how, you should go and try to get this Krishna Bhakti Ras immediately. However, whatever you have to do. So then Maharaj gave the verse, you know, Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavita, you know, and I said, yes, I know. So then he said, when Sanatana Goswami, he told me, when Sanatana Goswami was in the jail and he wanted to escape, but he was showing the coins. He said he was showing the coin. No, he wasn't. He didn't say that. He said he was offering the coins to the gatekeeper. He said, I have so many coins. I think it's 6,000. No, I have 6,000 coins or 7,000. I can't remember. Maharaj said he was telling the gatekeeper, let me free. Let me go. I have so many thousands of coins I can give you. But Maharaj said, but the gatekeeper was not willing to do it because he was afraid that he would be chastised by the king. He wouldn't do it. He was hesitating. But when he showed him finally the coins, Maharaj said, at that moment, when he saw, then so much greed came and he let him go. So he told me this, referring to, unless you have a little darshan of that transcendental realm, of this ras, this prem ras, then the greed to want it will not appear in your heart. So one has greed for bhakti ras or prem ras only if you had one little drop of taste for this. So this is very nice. Then we were observing the whole Kartik Mass, very beautiful, like I said. Just so beautiful. He would inspire that I would actually cook. One time I was cooking, 2 times, 3. Big preparations with the pot and cooking, big quantities, and very nice. And I was singing, which I want to record actually, this mantra, this type is, and I was singing and singing, and he was from his room. I could know that he was hearing this song, this tune that was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. He was always inspiring this tune to sing. But, and then he would always inspire this big cooking, big pot. In Delhi, in Chandigarh, he liked this. He liked to give, like bhakti through prasad. So there, by this Krishna Vasana, this seva vritti, this tendency to serve, he has this power. Only Vaishnavas, which have Siddha perfection, have the power to give you this Shakti, this energy of seva vritti, that you have the tendency, you want to serve and you want to clean and you want to do all these things. They don't have to tell you, like, go do this. Like, you immediately are inspired and start doing everything. This is the power of Vaishnava. So then, in the Kartik month, the Niyam Seva, regulated every day the Seva of singing these songs, Ashtakala Lila, Smaranam. At night it was very beautiful Mahamantra, Radhika's in separation from Krishna. So, all this very beautiful. Okay, now 1 hour went by so fast. So another time let me remember more beautiful things that he used to say. So many nice things. Okay, one time I was living in Puri, because we used to go to Puri and live there for months and months at a time in the Gurudev's Mat, Gaudiya. So we were there and I was very sad that some devotees, which I was actually helping all these devotees for many years, like, providing food and all these things, cloth and tickets and everything for all the brahmacharis, because the Vaishnavas in India said you have to serve all the Vaishnavas, you have to serve. So I was serving for many years, but then they were all like very mean to me sometimes. So then I went to Maharaj, and I was crying, and I was saying, Maharaj, the people, I'm helping them and this and that, but they're so mean sometimes, and I don't want to serve these devotees anymore. I only want to serve Mahabhagavats. Now I'm only going to serve the Mahabhagavats. I don't want to serve like all devotees. And he said, no. He said, no. You should know that when we serve the devotees, Krishna is so pleased. He told me, Krishna gets very pleased. So we serve the devotees because this gives pleasure to Krishna. this actually gives pleasure to Krishna. So then he said, when I was younger, I used to serve and go to all the Gaudiya Mats. Every Gaudiya Mat I would go and serve. Then I would go to another Gaudiya Mat and serve, and another. And everybody knows me in all Gaudiya Mats because I have gone there and served, he said. And he said, even they would like call a rickshaw and pay for it for me to go because they were so pleased with my service. Like he said like that. And then he said that one time there was one man that didn't like him. And I said, Maharaj, how can you have enemies? You're such a wonderful person. Who could not like you? And he said, yeah, there was this person that didn't like me. He was very rich. And he was very sick. And he was in the hospital, but he couldn't even be admitted because he was so sick he couldn't even sign. So he asked me, I went and I helped him. And I signed and I did everything for him, and I paid and I did everything for him to get cured. So then he said that after that, this man was so indebted to him. He was so pleased with his service, although he had been against him and criticized him. But he was so impressed by his attitude of not feeling personal being hurt or rejected him because he criticized him, but rather he went and helped him. That he said that even the man, when he recovered, he wanted to give him a mat, like a property, and he said, no, I'm not doing this to get anything from you. And then he said, Param. So he said, he told me this story. He said, so one should serve and be helpful to the devotees, not expecting anything and doing it only because Krishna becomes very pleased. So this was a very, very beautiful teaching, because sometimes we hesitate, should we serve this, we serve that? No, serve everyone, all the devotees, no matter what level, what quality, what, if they're against, if they're not, if they criticize you, everybody serve. And there's another very beautiful example that he would tell, which was, this example was, he said that there was one Vaishnava, god brother of his Gurudev, that this Vaishnava, very, very high, elevated Vaishnava, but he was, when he went to see him, he would like talk a little bit bad about his Gurudev, like Bhakti Goswami Mahārājā. So he felt like very bad in his heart. Anyhow, he was very sick and he was very old and he was in the hospital. So Bhakti Goswami Mahārājā sent him to go and take care of him. So they were taking care of him, and he needed care in the hospital. So he was taking care of him. I don't know if he was alone with somebody else. But then he was speaking ill. He was speaking bad about his Gurudev, about his own Gurudev, about the Gurudev of Bhakti Bharati Goswami. So he felt really bad. And he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to his Gurudev, Bhakti Goswami Mahārājā, and he said, really, I'm doing this service, but I feel really bad because he's criticizing you and he's saying all these things. And I feel really bad. And then he didn't answer. His Gurudev never answered anything about that matter. Nothing. He answered saying, I will be so pleased if you serve this Vaishnava. And then Maharaj said that at that moment in his heart came this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was, this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita was, he who has served my Guru is the object of my service. Very strong. He who has served my Guru is the object of my service. So he realized, and he started crying, Maharaj started crying, because he realized that this is really the embodiment, like his guru, Bhakti Madhava Goswami Maharaj, was embodying embodying the teachings of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He wasn't taking any personal revenge, violence, vengeance, none of this. He was thinking, he has served so much my guru, so he is the object of my service. So these are the teachings of Maharaj that we think, wow. He told me, he said, I used to do so much service when I was like younger. There was never a time that he was lazy. He was never lazy. He was always doing service and hard work and carrying cement bags. And one time a cement bag fell on him, so he had to stop. He couldn't continue doing the service. But anyhow, after like a month or two, he continued doing, although he was not supposed to. He said that the parikram that they used to do, like Braj Mandala Parikrama, that they used to do it like with camps, like camping one place, then going parikrama, walking, camping in another place, and like this on and on and on. All the Braj Mandala Parikrama, and he was like the one that was like in charge of everything. And then he said that even he would have to stay awake all night to watch that the thieves would not come and rob like the pilgrims. And they would do like camping all month. Braj Mandala Parikrama, really austere, like camps, not like hostels like nowadays and buildings, no. They would do like tents, and everybody was sleeping there. And he said that he was like the one that was in charge of all this parikram, but when he stopped, nobody could continue it anymore, because nobody had this ability actually to organize and do all that. So he was like so much sevaka, never tired, always doing. And then he said, but nowadays, he told me, in Puri nowadays, look, such big rooms, so much facilities for all the brahmacharis that, like they do. Nobody is, so much facilities means nobody is actually doing so much. Because there's so much, all these facilities are not that good. And then he told me this story, very nice story about my Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. He told me that how much like love and affection and respect, Vaishnavas have amongst each other. But now, my God, when I see the way that people interact, even amongst our supposedly God brothers and God sisters, oh my God, I feel this is like Kali Yuga to the max. They're always trying to dishonor and discredit, and wow, it's like demon nature, really. Nothing to do with what I've seen, what I personally saw, the exchange of Vaishnavas. Srila Bhakti Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he said that one time they were in, was it Haridwar or Rishikesh? Haridwar or Rishikesh, one of those two up in the Himalaya, they were there. And then Gurudev was going to come to Puri. So then he's so humble, Gurudev, that he said he had to leave. He left before Bharati Maharaj, Param Pujyapad. He left before to come to Puri so that he could arrange so that Maharaj could stay in his room. My Maharaj, my Gurudev, he could stay in his room. And he arranged everything, because if he would have known, if they would have traveled together, he would have never ever accepted that Maharaj gave him his room. He would have never accepted. So then what he did, he actually came before so he could get out and arrange everything for Maharaj to come and stay. So just see how beautiful the Vaishnavas honor and respect and serve each other. It's amazing. How beautiful. Then he told me another story. He said another story about how the etiquette of Srila Gurudev was so wonderful. For example, he said that one time in Navadvip, I think Devananda Gaudiya, Gurudev was there, they had a festival, and Gurudev was serving prasadam to everybody that came for hours. he was serving prasadam to everyone. And then he wanted to serve prasad for Bharati Maharaj, but Bharati Maharaj said, no, I'll wait for you. I'll wait, but I still have to serve. No problem. I'll sit here and wait until you finish serving. So he was serving and serving. And when finally everybody was served, then they sat together to take prasadam. And finally they were taking prasadam, and somebody came. And Maharaj, Gurudev, he stood up and he said, please take prasad. And he went, washed his mouth, hands, and start serving prasad to this person. So he said, how beautiful the etiquette of the Vaishnavas, always serving. Nowadays I've seen, because I lived so many years in Gaudiya Math in India, Keshwari Gaudiya Math especially, and there's where I was strongly trained. This is finished. It's not going to be like that ever again. It's over. At that time, it was the mood that you should not eat until everybody has finished eating. And then, when everybody has finished eating, then you sit and take prasad, alone, meditating deeply, serving Radha Krishna, serving Gora, Nitya, Panchatattva, all this, internally. So, but now, one time I was given the opportunity to serve prasadam, to be in charge of serving the prasadam in Navadvip Parikrama, Navadvip. There was like 1,000 people coming every day for Westerns. And there I had buckets, and I had, like, my helpers would go and distribute prasadam to the lines of people. First rice, first the leaf, then the water, then the salt, then the chili, then the rice, and like this. And I had little pots, then I kept for the servants, then I would serve them. Once they have served, sit down and take prasadam. But then I left a little bit for me. But sometimes at the very end, when I was very, at the very end, there was a little bit left, and it was my turn after midnight, all day service. Then it was midnight, 11 at night. Okay, I will sit now. Somebody would come in. Oh, is there any prasadam left? Is there any? And I said, okay, sit. And then I would give him that prasadam. And then I didn't have any prasadam, but I was so happy, and I didn't feel any hunger. So I told this to one Vaishnava, very, very high Vaishnava. I said, Maharaj, Prabhuji, you know what? I'm actually, I didn't even have my food, and I gave it to others, and I didn't have, but I felt not hungry at all. And he said, oh, when you give even what's yours, he said, then you'll be servant. At this moment, then you're a real servant, he told. So very beautiful. Maharaj showing like this. We were in Chandigarh, and it was Anukut, Governor Anukut. So at this time, we're following Chaturmasya, we're not eating tomatoes, and this month they follow this also. So they start actually Kartik, not in full moon, but they start like 3 days before in Ekadashi. And they finish it in Ekadashi. Because this is a proper way. You can do it in Ekadashi or you can do it in Purnima. It's okay. Both are bona fide. So there was prasadam from the Anakut. So then I came and I said, Maharaj, but they're giving tomatoes. No, eggplant. I said, they're giving eggplant, but I'm doing Chaturmasya and I'm not eating, and this is eggplant, so I shouldn't do this. So then at this moment, it's really funny because I said, I'm doing the Chaturmasya, I'm going to break it if I eat this eggplant. And he said, we're all following the Chaturmasya. We're not eating tomato, we're not eating eggplant, but in Anakut, oh, this is not eggplant, this is prasad, he said to me. He said, and in this day, we take all of Govardhan's prasad. So this is a very nice, teaching from a Mahabhagavad, that on the day of on the day of Anakut. And if we, especially if we're in Govardhan or with a Mahabhagavat, you must take all this prasad, not thinking I'm going to break the Kadashin or the Chaturmasya. This is what he told me directly. So another teaching, very beautiful. One time, you know, when he would go sick Leela, and he would go to the hospital, then I would go see him in Delhi. And I once went with one Russian girl, and she was asking, Maharaj, you know, but I'm Russian, so I cannot have this, I cannot get this prema, like I'm Russian, how can we, like, Indians are different. And he said, very beautiful, he said, from A to Z, all of the creation of Brahma, all which was created from Brahma, from an ant to a human, to all the living entities that were created from Brahma, they are all, what's the word? They're all fit. There was another word, but they're all fit to attain prema. He said all are suitable. All the living entities created by Brahma, they will all have the capacity to taste prema. All. No, what to speak of Russian or Spanish, or he said, all can have prema. So this is very beautiful. And she was very happy after that. Very happy. And then he actually told me a verse. He said, oh, I'm so sick. And then he told me a verse, but I can't remember it. Unfortunately, I cannot remember it. I really, fire on me. I can't remember that verse that he told me. Another time I went to see him, also he was sick. There was no visitors, but anyhow, I'm so bogus. I went to see him, just 1 second. At that time, I gave him my mala, and he chanted all my mala. Then he said, he only told me one thing. He said, to not glorify the Vaishnavas at their appearance and disappearance. Oh, this is aparadha. He told me like this. And he would always make emphasis that Prabhupada was asked by his Param Gurudev, by Jagannath Das Babaji. Jagannath Das Babaji asked Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you should make a calendar so that we can know the what's the name? I forgot. So you could actually put all the appearance day and disappearance day of the Vaishnavas, and of course of Krishna, Mahaprabhu, all this, Ekadashis. So then he said that if we remember and if we glorify the Vaishnavas and their appearance and disappearance days, that Maya goes very far away. This is very powerful. So he told me this instruction, only this. Then I left. This is the only thing. You have to glorify Vaishnavas at the time of appearance and disappearance. He said, otherwise it is aparad. So this is one very important, instruction to follow from him. And another time I went to see him. This is in Faridabad. Very beautiful teachings always. So I would go, when I wouldn't see him, he showed me that it's not good to be with him always. That it's good to go and then come back and see him, and then the meeting is very beautiful. So then he was telling me, he told me, he said, you should distribute malas, harinam all over. He said, but very quietly, secretly, like gopis. He told me like this. So then, at this time, this particular time that I went, I sang, Radhe Jayo, Jayo Radhe Jayo, Jayo Mata Vataite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Bahite. And he said, and after I sang, I'm thinking, I sang very nice. This is the real mercy of the Vaishnavas. You see the real mercy of the Vaishnava. It's always cutting your ego, always making you humble. Then immediately, what did he say? He said, after I actually sang, he said, "Oh, one should sing being very humble. One should be very humble when one sings." And I'm like, okay. But I'm telling you, really, when the Vaishnavas chastise you, correct you, this is the real mercy. When they're praising you and this and that, oh, this is cheating. Gurudev used to tell us like this. When Gurudev is, oh yeah, come sit, oh, very nice, giving all this honor and respect, oh, she is very great, he is very wonderful. Gurudev said, this is cheating. Real cheating. Real mercy of Guru, they're always heavier than God. So Maharaj, in this day, then he spoke this beautiful katha, but he knew, because I told him I only want Rasa Leela. So he would always give in little hints of Rasa Leela. For example, this time he said, very beautiful, he said, when, this verse, Janmariya Sayato Itratashtata Tene Brahmahrijaya Adikamaya Buihantis Yatsuraya Tejo Varnimiram Jata Jatra Tisargamisha Dhamnasana Sada Nirastakuhakam Satam Param Dimahi. This first verse of Bhagavatam, which is so wonderful. This first verse of Bhagavatam, which is so wonderful. This verse is Maharaj, imagine how beautiful. He was explaining, actually, because we have always heard from Gurudev that in time of Rasa Leela, it is Radhika who goes and leaves Rasa Leela, and Krishna follows her behind. This is like the mood of our Gaudiya Vaishnavas. This is the mood that Gurudev taught us. This is the mood that Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks, and it seems that this is the mood that all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas also speak. Why? Because it's like this. Maharaj said that, very interesting, very beautiful and very interesting. Janmadi, for those who know like this verses, the first verse of Bhagavatam, which Gurudev says, it's actually describing Rasa Leela. Every single verse. Vyasadeva is absorbed and he sees Satyam Paramtimahi and meditating the Supreme Truth, which is actually Radha Krishna conjugal, or Srimati Radhika is the Supreme Truth. So, but this verse is describing Ras Leela. Every single word is a description of Ras Leela. So it was very beautiful because Srila Gurudev, Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he said, look how beautiful it says, whoever will hear. But I'm doing this for the glorification of Maharaj, for my heart's purification, for all the little insects and ants that are here. They might, hear a little bit of the glorification of this great Vaishnava. So Maharaj said, Janmadi asya itaratash and chartasyu. So itaratash, chartasyu means directly and indirectly. That's the meaning. So in the general meaning, it's Krishna is the Supreme Absolute Truth, and he's directly in charge. He's indirectly in charge of the material creation, but he's directly and indirectly like this. But it is, in Gurudev says, it is Radharani, that she is directly present in Rasa Leela, and indirectly is when she leaves Rasa Leela. This is the explanation that gives Srila Gurudev. But Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, very beautiful, he said that Janmadiyasya itaratash chartasyu. The itaratash means, and chartasyu, I don't remember which is which, but it means that Radhika leaves and that Krishna is running behind. That running behind, this is the meaning of itaratash and chartasyu. This is the meaning. Directly and indirectly. Radhika leaves and Krishna's running after her. So I was like, wow, I love it, I see him, and every time one little drop of some amazing Harikatha. Very, very high, very little, enough. It's so high that only 1 minute, it's enough, because it's so high, so beautiful. So And another time, the last, I want to say something that when we were in, for example, we were in Chandigarh. The last year before he left, I went there. He attracted me by his mercy, and he actually gave me something that I have asked him, that I said the only thing I want is this, and he actually gave me this that time. Because he said that a guru, a real guru or a Vaishnava, the disciple has to do everything that the guru says. He must have the capacity that whatever the guru tells him, he will do. This is not only having the Mahabhagavad Guru, but having the very qualified disciple that surrenders completely to Guru. If you surrender 2%, then Krishna will give you 2% mercy. If Guru is the same. If you surrender 4%, then Guru will give you 4%. If you give 10%, he will give you 10. You surrender 50, he will give. If you surrender your heart and soul, everything, Gurudev, I'm yours. Use me as an instrument for your service. Absolutely, this mood. Then what happens? Then Guru gives you his own heart. Srila Gurudev used to tell like this. He gives tatas and all his knowledge, everything he will give. But you have to surrender like that to him first. So in this way, Bharati Maharaj, why am I saying this? Oh, because Guru Maharaj said, Bharati Maharaj, Param Pujyapad, Bharati Goswami Maharaj said that he said Guru, the disciple should have to do anything that the Guru says. Maharaj would say, has to do everything. He has to be obedient, not even doubt at once. But the Guru, but the Guru has to have that level. The Guru has to be in that platform that can fulfill all the spiritual desires of the disciple. All. This is the real way. It should be Guru and disciple. The disciple has to be completely obedient, but the Guru has to be in that level that whatever the spiritual desire, at once the Guru Vaishnava fulfills it in the heart. This is important. So this was Bharati Maharaj, Parama Pujyapad. This was his power. He knew any little desire you told, he never forgot, and he would fulfill. Because this is the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas. So one time I was in Chandigarh. This is the last thing I will say. And he told me again, he said, have you been preaching? And I'm like, oh, Maharaj. He said, why not? You're so qualified. At the beginning, the first meeting, he said, you will not be successful. This was the first meeting I had in Bhatinda, in this temple in Bhatinda, in Punjab. When I was alone with him, going every day to hear Harikatha, alone, in his room for 1 hour, daily, for a week. And he said, but you will not be successful. But now, at the very end of before leaving this world, and what was it? I don't know how many years ago it was. He was telling, are you not preaching? Why are you not preaching? And by his mystic power, he would arrange people to come immediately and invite me to their countries and give me the money for the ticket at once. This is the power of Maharaj. So I asked him this question. I said, Maharaj, how is it possible? How is it possible that in the 4 sampradayas, there's Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya, and Madhava Sampradaya. These 4 sampradayas, but there's one that is Nimbarka. And I said, Nimbarka Sampradaya, they're worshipping Radha and Krishna. They have deities of Radha and Krishna. They're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram all day and all night. They are writing Radha in their bodies. They're chanting Jap, Hare Krishna. They're doing Kirtan, Hare Krishna, Radhe, 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. They're always absorbed in Radha and Krishna, singing and dancing, and everything is Radha and Krishna. So how is it possible then that how is it possible then that although they are all day and all night worshiping Radha Krishna, their goal, their destination will not be the service of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, but rather the service of Dwarkadish Krishna and Rukmini or Satyabhama? How is this possible, Maharaj? How is this possible? And he said to me, he said, because the services that the Manjaris do in Radha Kunda at midday, oh, they don't do those services, therefore they cannot attain Radha and Krishna. That's what he told me. So the meaning is, unless you enter into Raga Marg, the path of Raga Nuga Bhakti, then in meditation and Ashtakala Leela Smaran, if we don't do the Ashtakala Leela Smaran during the time of the day, and those services that the Manjaris are doing there, we practice and meditate on those, we can never attain Radha and Krishna. See how amazing? I know preachers, gurus for 30, 40 years that are saying, no, this Raga Nuga Bhakti is too high, we cannot follow. Imagine. This is crazy. Another time in the Gaudiya Math where he stayed, I went to Calcutta. I stayed 2 weeks there. 2 weeks there. We went, in this math is amazing. This temple of, there was staying Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Vallabhachita Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Toriyashrami Goswami Maharaj. All these Mahabhagavats were staying there. And the mood was so deep, so grave, that just entering, you don't have to go and talk like, you know, Westerns are so like external, everything. We have to go and talk to the person, but there everything's so subtle that just entering and sitting in a room without even seeing the Vaishnava, they give you mercy and Shakti so that you can sit and fix your mind for hours and hours and hours. You fix your mind in meditating in Radha and Krishna. I remember the first time I went to this mat, I was in the room in a little like mattress on the floor, like there's nothing, but you were, and the song that I was inspired to open, Basati Manohara Nanda, Basati Manohara Nanda Gopal. What is it? There are two. One is about Radha and one is about Krishna. Murati Manohara Madana Gopal Tarana na 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 Basati Mano Nanda. I can't remember, but this one was coming like this mood, this song in my heart, and I was singing and just over and over meditating Krishna, Krishna. Radha is like crazy. This is the hypnotism of the Vaishnavas, that they make you hypnotized on Krishna and Radha. They fix your mind in Radha Krishna. This is sadhu sangha. This is real sadhu sangha. This is the real sadhu sangha. That you're absorbed in just chanting and remembering Radha. Your mind is not going here and there. It's fixed in the lotus feet and the lotus face of Srimati Radhika. This is sadhu sangha in this temple. So anyway, this time Maharaj, at the time of Ekadashi, he was happy if we would do Nirjal, and you would go and then he would give me the grains of Jagannath Puri, Jagannath Prasad. This is the grains, the dry, this is the way to break the Ekadashi, with the grains of Jagannath Prasad. And very beautiful, very beautiful. All these things, but I think I spoke too much now. In this mat, the mood is very, very deep. Everybody's absorbed there doing bhajan, chanting 1 lakh, 2, and it just, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that being such a low class person, being born in such an asuric environment where, you know, everything was very inauspicious, eating meat and drinking, smoking, all these bad things. I was born into this. But anyhow, and I degraded myself so much because of the bad association in my youth. But Vaishnavas are so wonderful. They're just so merciful. How merciful they are. That they can actually take you out of this stool-like well of family life. It's take you out of this well of stool, of all these attachments, mundane attachments, sense gratifications. Take it out. No. This person is so fallen, let me give mercy to him. Oh, Mahārājā also. I want to remember just two more things, two last. That I remember him saying that, he was saying, he was telling me the story about Jagai and Madai, talking about being so low, so fallen, have done so many sinful activities, so many sinful activities over the years, decades. And what happens that he was explaining about Jagai and Madai, that he was so sinful, they were so sinful, they would drink, they were drunks, and everybody was scared of them. Like nobody would go out of their houses because they were so afraid of meeting them on the street. They were very aggressive and violent and raped women, very bad, they were very degraded, although they were born in Brahmin families. He said, but when they got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, and Nityananda Prabhu, he said, they became very high class Vaishnavas, and they were chanting 2 lakhs daily. And he said, and they became acharyas. He said, this is the mercy of the line of Mahaprabhu. Srila Gurudev also used to say that the great mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was that Krishna, in his past incarnation, he would kill demons, and in the next life he will liberate them. Next life, liberated. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this life, he kills the demoniac nature in our hearts and establishes us as Vaishnavas. So this is in the same life. This is the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is what I see, that Bharati Maharaj, one time he was again sick in Faridabad, so I went to visit him. And he said, oh, I'm very weak. He said, I'm very weak. I don't feel very well. And then I asked him, Maharaj, why is it that it is said that the goldsmith people, the one that work with the gold, are considered very sinful. I said, why is this? And Gurudev used to also say that they're very greedy, so greedy, they would even sell gold to their own mother. And that Brahmins don't ever go to their houses or even take donations from them because they're considered so sinful. And I was thinking, why are they sinful? Maharaj told me, because in the Bhagavatam it's described that it's a very great sin to mix gold with another metal. That fusion of those two metals is a very great sin. So in this way, then Maharaj, he's such a great personality. He is so high, and his kata, I translated now his whole book, Vishuddha Chaitanyavani, into Spanish since 2 or 3 years, but I'm very slow on doing the layout. But I want to finish it. This year I should actually publish it without doubt. So much teachings, such amazing teachings are there in this book of Vishuddha Chaitanyavani that I think that everybody who is sincere about Bhakti, anybody who really wants Shuddha Bhakti, who wants Uttama Bhakti, should read this book. Because this book actually explains the real standards of the Vaishnavas. he told directly. He said that Bhaktivedanta Bhaman Goswami Maharaj told him that now the teachings are being watered down and down and down. All the teachings of Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur. What to speak? That was how many years ago? 50, 40, 30? Now imagine now. Every time more and more and more. This is being washed down. So one should read this book, because there one understands what is the real standard of the Vaishnava. It's very, very elevated, very wonderful. So today I want to pray for Bharati Maharaj to forgive me for all my offenses, to forgive me for all my shortcomings, for anything that I did wrong. And I pray for his mercy. I pray for his grace. I pray for his guidance. I pray that he's always present. He's in my altar. He's in my heart. But please help me follow Bhakti purely. Give me strength. Please help me. Help us all. Advance spiritually, and especially to be very humble, to be able to propagate the mission, the Vishuddha Chaitanya Bani, the spotless and faultless teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Panchakalpataruvescha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.